Welcome, fellow YouTube traveler. If you don't know me already, I'm Baronen, and I'm on a mission to learn art. Recently, I started a world building project that is centered around dragons. And therefore, I've started to draw and paint a lot of dragons. For this video, I want to take you through my process of painting, how I use simple shapes to create something as complex as a dragon. In the last dragon video, which you can watch up here in the corner, I drew a dragon based on a snapping turtle that I really liked. So for this one, I wanted to paint something similar. So let's just get into it. I begin by painting a quick background so that I have a horizon and a sky to anchor the piece. Then I start laying out simple shapes. First up is the head. I paint a sort of flat box with a corner in the middle. Then I painted a large bent cylinder for the massive neck of this beast. When painting these first shapes, I only use silhouettes to convey the shapes that I want. And later on, I will put on more and more detail until it looks somewhat realistic. After the neck, I paint the two massive legs that carry this chunky boy, making sure that the silhouette is pleasing. Last but not least, I put in a shape for the body, cheating a little bit by hiding large parts of the body behind the front legs. With the main silhouettes down, I start to separate the shadow family from the light family. This is where the larger details start to take shape. For the face, I wanted the dragon to have a beak like the turtle and also some teeth, in the same way as the latest dragon I painted. For this step, I need to keep the light source in mind so that it is coherent all over the painting. When I was happy with the head, it was time for the neck. I wanted to show that it curves away from the light, and also that it has some nice love handles near the base. After that, it was time for the front legs, taking the same things into consideration when placing the shadow family. Next to last, I painted the shadow family for the rest of the body. And to finish off this step, I paint the cast shadow that the dragon would cast on the ground it stands on. The next step is to paint the midtones. This is where the shape starts to point away from the light, but not enough for it to be in the shadow family. So all of the midtones live in the light family. Here I can begin to put in more detail in the light family. For example, what the folds on the neck looks like, and the large scales on the front leg. last two steps of putting the values in the right places are to put the details in the shadow family, with ambient light and ambient occlusion. The ambient light will be where the light bounces off other surfaces and into the shadow, which will make the value a bit lighter, but still darker than the darkest value in the light family. This will mainly come from the ground, so for example on the bottom of the neck. The ambient occlusion is the places that the ambient light can't reach because of its shape. For example, crevices, like the ones between the scales on the front legs or between the love handles on the neck. And with that done, I also put in the highlights where the light would reflect the most off of the shapes. With all of the values in place, it is time to blend, to make sure that the edges make sense for the shapes that they are conveying. For example, the neck is round and therefore the edges between light and shadow family will be soft, as their light won't reach around anymore. But for the edge in the middle of the face, I want a hard edge to show that it is more of an angle between the two sides of the face. So to summarize, round shapes create softer edges and sharper angles create harder edges. From this point on, it is just a matter of pushing and pulling a lot until everything is in the place I want, and to add smaller details and at some point color the piece. So I'll take this time to talk a little bit about what kind of dragon this is and how it fits into the world I have created. When I started this painting, I didn't really have a good idea what place it would have in the world. All I had was an idea of how it would look. Now, however, I have decided that it is for sure a dwarven dragon. That does not mean that it is small, but that it is a soul of a dwarf. If you don't know already, the dragons in this world are the souls of the Dragonkin. The people who have their souls on the outside of their body in the form of dragons. This dragon is a tunneling dragon, able to quite quickly dig larger tunnels that can be used for whatever the dwarves need the tunnel for. It uses its strong claws to loosen up the soil or rock, and its large paddle-like front feet to shovel away the dirt. The long neck and heavily armored face gives it a good advantage when hunting for smaller animals that make tunnels. They can be quite lethal on the battlefield, and can definitely hold their own against a lot of other dragons due to their sheer size. But the fact that they lack armor in a lot of important places, like the neck, leads to them not being used deliberately for battle. That being said, they don't shy away from it if they have to defend themselves or someone else. Like a lot of other dragons, it has the ability to breathe fire. It is definitely useful when fending off enemies or a pack of predators. But mainly, it uses it to heat up the rock to start forming some cracks to make it easier to dig through. Next up, I just want to thank you all so much for tuning in. It is so much fun that so many have started to watch the videos that I put out, and that so many of you leave kind and encouraging messages in the comments. Thank you again. Now just sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the painting taking shape. Now it is time for the grand review. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something. If you did, consider giving the video a like. And subscribe so that you don't miss any future content. And please tell me in the comments down below what kind of content you would like to see from me. Thanks again. With that said, see you in the next one. Okay, bye.